Hey everybody, what's up? This is Nick from Threat X3 Productions, and today we're going to be talking about the new game, Crucible. So Crucible, if you don't know, is a third-person shooter. It is one of Amazon Studios' first games. It's free to play, it's a MOBA, it's Overwatch, it's all these kind of buzzwords all strewed into one. And so today I'm going to be talking about my impressions of it. They're not great. So let's start off with the positives. When it's fun, it's really fun. By that tone, you can probably know where I'm going with this. The characters are varied. I like all the characters, the way they look. None of them look too generic, although the soldier guy, he's pretty generic, but for the most part, they all look kind of good. And the game modes are varied. I like the different game modes. Instead of this being just another battle royale, they have 3 different modes to choose from, and I really like that. I guess also you could say that the class system is kind of good and the visuals look good, but unfortunately, that's all the pros. Now, once again, when it is fun, it's fun. And I mean, it seems kind of silly to say that, but it's like, it is fun. It's just that, unfortunately, all the cons are all annoying enough to really make this hard to recommend to stick with. I believe that this game was released early access. I really don't feel like this game was given that much testing because we're going to switch to cons, and the very first con is extremely unbalanced. If you're not playing as particular characters, you are playing at a disadvantage. Now, obviously, when people start to get the meta a little bit more, they'll understand how to use characters better, but even still, there are just clearly some characters that are too squishy. They don't have enough life, and the abilities that they do have don't outweigh the fact that they can die really easily. And so if you're not choosing a character that can deal out damage, then you're really just putting yourself at a disadvantage. So even though it would be really cool to play as a bunny, that character isn't that great. And that character can sometimes put you at a really disadvantage. So that's con number 1. That's very subjective. I mean, some people might think that this is very balanced. I think with some good balancing, it'd be really good, because number 2 is, and this could sort of go along with balancing, number 2 is the characters are so slow. Especially going from a game like Call of Duty Warzone or Apex Legends. Being able to get around the map really quickly is really important in those games. Not just because there's a cloud of poisonous gas coming at you at all times, but also just to make you feel like you're doing something. So a really good example is, let's say you're playing Heart of the Hives. This is a game where you can respawn and you can go back in. It's not like a battle royale where when you're dead, you're dead. So instead you get to spawn as many times as you want, obviously, but it's very MOBA-esque in the sense that it takes 20 seconds for you to respawn. So not only have you been out of the game for 20 seconds, then you have to spawn in. And if you're lucky, you might spawn in right next to an objective, or at least right next to some characters. Unfortunately, if you spawn even just a little bit away from the action, it can take you an additional 15 to 20 seconds to get back into it. And then let's say that obviously they're in a fight or something, and you have to get there to help them. Well, by the time you get there, they're gonna be dead because you weren't able to get there fast enough. Now, one could argue that that's part of the quote-unquote balance, because if you're able to kill somebody on the other team, that puts the team at a disadvantage, and so therefore they have to play more smart or whatever. But the problem is that doesn't really matter when it just makes it so unbelievably hard. And if your team is not set up with the absolute perfect synergy of characters, you're at a disadvantage. And it's just the unbalanced nature of this all is one thing, and then taking so damn long to get around the map is another. And now every character, every single one has some type of a shift ability. When you press shift, you do some type of a traversal. Like one is a grappling hook, one is a teleport, one is you turn on a giant afterburner and you rock it around. Every single one does. But after those are done, the character movement is pretty much just at a light jog. Some just saunter around like, oh, I have nothing important to do. I don't have anything pressing. Let me just take a stroll. And that can be extremely annoying because there is just absolutely no sprint. Unless your character's special ability is to sprint, there is no sprint. So the movement can just be infuriating, because I have never played a game like this where it just takes me out of the game and has me not play the game. Once again, you could argue that that's part of the balance, that's part of the incentive to not die, which is also, you could say, about MOBAs. MOBAs, the longer you go into a match, the longer it takes you to respawn, and it puts you at a disadvantage. It makes you think better. I could argue that. You could definitely argue that. But unfortunately, what they're trying to be is they're not trying to be a MOBA. They're trying to be a fast-paced, action, class-based shooter. And the thing is that I just think that it was maybe marketed a little bit more of an action game. If it was marketed a little bit more like a team game, and once again, you could probably argue that it was, but that's just my personal opinion. Number 3, this one's completely subjective and it could 100% do with what I have played, but teammates tend to not stick together. Teammates tend to just want to do whatever they want to do. Obviously, I think it's a little weird to judge a game by the people who are playing it, but unfortunately, that's the experience that I had. They kind of just went wherever they wanted to go, and if there was an objective, nobody was using the ping system, so maybe if the ping system was on a different button, it's the middle mouse button. I don't play a lot of PC games, but for me, it's really awkward to try to press on the middle mouse button when I'm doing something. I'm new at PC games, so maybe that's normal. I don't know. But it didn't seem like a lot of people were using it. Not like Apex, where granted, you will still have people not use it, but I feel like a lot more people use it in Apex Legends. Another negative, which might change by the time you're watching this, but there is no third game mode. Now, when this was first advertised, we were going to have Heart of the Hives, the Battle Royale, which is like the Hunters, or I can't remember the name right now, and then the Harvester capturing mode. And so with that one, there's 8v8, you're capturing, it's essentially like domination from Call of Duty, where you're capturing points of interest, and the longer you have it, the more points you get. Whoever gets to 100 points first wins. Honestly, I feel like in this current condition that the game is in, I honestly think that would save this game and there wouldn't be as many cons. Because unfortunately right now, when it's 4v4, unless you choose the correct 4, then you're probably putting your team at a disadvantage. And obviously every game is going to have its meta. Every game is going to have the players that you should play as if you want the most effective tactical assassination. I can't remember what the A stands for. Anyways, so every game has that. But this one definitely seems like it has very clear winners and very clear losers. And that sucks, considering that there's really only like 8 to choose from. So if you don't choose the right ones, or if you don't play them very, very correctly, that's kind of what makes it unbalanced. Now, having said that, if they had this third game mode where it was more about capturing, I feel like there's definitely more characters that would be better for capturing areas rather than like doing a lot of damage. A really good example is Bug. Bug is this little robot and he throws out plants, and when he waters the plants, it can, you know, attack anybody who comes nearby. Now, this is a very good character for defending a point, but if you're not defending a point, this character can be kind of useless in the sense of, well, in motion, he can be very hard to master. I did pretty good with him. You're probably seeing him on screen right now, but it really was just luck. Maybe the other people weren't as good, and there was definitely some times where I was getting my butt kicked. But if I would have played this exact same character, but I would have played it in the third mode that we were promised, I honestly think that I'd have a different outlook on it. But right now all we have is the hives and the battle royale. And right now I couldn't even really get into a battle royale, so everyone's really playing the hive mode, and maybe that's because that's what people prefer. But yeah, I'd say another con is that there's all these kind of PvE things going on in the map, but absolutely none of them are dangerous enough to make you think twice. Like when you see a herd of stompers, when you hear that out loud, herd of stompers, oh no, that's scary. No, it's not. You can take on an entire herd all by yourself. Which this is really good because farming works for the entire team rather than just for yourself. So when I level up to level 3, my entire team levels up to level 3. So having somebody like dedicated to farming would actually be a really good idea. The problem just arises with the sense of there's just no danger. So, I mean, strategically, if you just go out and farm a bunch, you can put yourself at an advantage. Great job, but I don't know. It's a con because it's like, I would like to feel some fear. I wanna feel things, and fear is just not one of them. And so when you get to a point where there's just absolutely no threat, and you can take on a hive all by yourself. And that's one thing that you definitely shouldn't be able to do. Now, one thing is the hives spawn these drones, and the drones come straight at you. So if you get behind something, the drones will hit the thing in front of you, not you. So it is so easy to spam attacks. I think that an easy fix would be that they spawn the drones, but then also maybe they attract other animals. So then you have to worry about other animals attacking you while you're trying to focus on the hive. Because otherwise, with just the drones, it is so easy to avoid those. It's not even a challenge. Without that challenge, a mode that is by concept a really fun mode, and sometimes it can be a really fun mode depending on the team and everything, turns into just a boring match. And I don't like that, because I think the biggest con of this entire thing is the potential. The potential for this game, the characters, their abilities, the game modes themselves, everything about this game, especially when I was looking up into it and before it came out, I was so excited for this game. And now playing it, while it's not horrible, it's also just so underwhelming. And it's like little tweaks here and there could definitely do it some good, and I think maybe they will. But honestly, I just don't know right now, because there's definitely some balancing issues that they got to get figured out. So for right now, that's my impressions. That's why I'm calling it impressions and not a review. This is clearly early access, even though it's not marketed that way. This is clearly early access. They have some stuff to figure out. I think that once they get stuff figured out, I'm going to put out another first impressions, or second impression. I'll put out a third impressions, all right? I'm skipping all the way to World War III. I'm going to third. And so that's where we're going to leave it right now. It's not great. The great thing is it's free, so if you want to, play it. But I definitely suggest playing with somebody, because playing by yourself can definitely get bored, because it's all up to the RNG gods. You could get an awesome team who knows what they're doing, or you could get a bunch of dipshits who are just running around the map with like a chicken with their head cut off. So that's how I'm gonna leave it right now. Chicken with head off. Those words are the last words other than these words. And also make sure to follow us on @TX3 Productions on Twitter, ThreadX3 Productions on Instagram, ThreadX3Productions@gmail.com if you want to get a hold of us right away. We've been doing a lot more here on YouTube, so make sure to take a look. Make sure to subscribe, do the bell. We're trying to get out a lot more stuff. We could even put out more stuff on Crucible in the near future. So here we go. I think our next video is actually going to be ranking the heroes, and are they good? Are they not good? We're going to do that next. So take a look at that when it comes out. Thank you guys so much. I was Nick for ThreadX3 Productions. Have a good day.